If you play games, you've done this. Lag. Oh, because I thought this button was jump, and I thought I pushed it. Cool, so frames just skip, and then there are people on screen, and then I'm dead, and then that's how, cool. We all do it. But listen, it's not the game or the controller, it's your brain. Your brain sucks at video games. As much as we'd like to think that our minds are taking in every detail of the sensory information around us every day, like some sort of a mental IMAX movie, it's actually more like all the junk that's turned on by default when you get an HD TV. Filtering, upscaling, smoothing, and processing all of the stuff that we look at every day. There's an 80 millisecond delay between your eyes seeing something and your brain processing it. By the time you notice something, it's 80 milliseconds in the past. If a game is running at 60 frames a second, that means every frame is on screen for about 17 milliseconds. Good HD monitors only tend to have 10 to 15 milliseconds of lag, so less than a frame. Your brain is 5 times laggier than that. 5 frames behind. Now our brains do a pretty good job of correcting for this by estimating where something's going to be in the future. If it didn't, every time someone threw a ball at you, it'd hit you in the face before you could catch it. For some of us, that happens anyway. It's called neural prediction, and we think it happens in the anterior dorsal thalamic nuclei. It's based on a set of rules that your brain's been building since birth, observing the behavior of things and recording it for future use. A ball always moves forward and at an arc. The rule is predictable. The motion of objects in a new game is not as easy to figure out, especially when similar objects do different things in different games. It takes your brain a little while to stop trying to use old rules and create new ones. So, what about those glitchy bullets and enemies that come out of nowhere? Well, we're surrounded by an insane amount of sensory input every day. And if you genuinely noticed every little thing going on around you, you would be on overload all the time. So our brain tries to help us out by using something called sensory gating. The pulvinar nuclei in our thalamus decides what input is important from moment to moment and passes it along to the rest of our brain for processing. Unfortunately, if something is too alien or unexpected, your brain might not have a rule in place for it or consider it relevant in the moment and just throw it out. This especially happens in times of stress or intense focus, like when you're playing a game. Translation: if your brain did not expect a bullet there, then you didn't see it. That need to keep everything following rules and expectations is actually the reason for those unregistered button presses you keep having too. You know you jumped, you hit jump. Well, we don't like to be wrong. On a fundamental neurological level, we hate taking blame. And we will actually change the flow of time to make events match our expectations. In a study done last year, subjects were sat in front of a panel of buttons and asked to push them one by one. Some buttons made pleasant sounds, some buttons made horrible sounds. Turn down for what? The subjects were asked if there were ever any delays between the button press and the sound, and they all said, yeah, the annoying sounds took longer to trigger after the button was pressed. But here's the trick. All the sounds happened at exactly the same time. We don't want to be responsible for negative outcomes, and so our brain will actually distance us from them. I'm not saying you didn't hit jump. I'm just asking you if you hit jump in time. So why don't game developers work around all this neurological nonsense? Well, they do. Level design uses lighting and color to help you notice important info. Good collision detection gives you an extra smidgen of time to notice before you're hit. Online games use lag and latency compensation systems. And of course, in a local competitive game, everyone's on a level playing field. But at the end of the day, your brain is quirky, and everyone's filters and reaction times are different. So, stop blaming the hardware and the software and start blaming your own wetware. Stupid brain. Stop sucking at games. I know I haven't been posting videos lately. I am sorry about that. I was focusing on launching a new podcast with Jeff Kanata. It's called We Have Concerns. Click here to check it out and let me know what you think. And be sure to subscribe here for more videos.